What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back with a new video, talking today about a transfer rumor that's come up again just a couple of weeks after I thought it died, but it has reared its head again. We're talking about Kalvin Phillips being linked with a move back to Leeds United if the club is successful in achieving promotion. Before I get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop your thoughts and comments below. Thank you to Mr. P, who delivered a super thanks on the last video. Much appreciated, Mr. P. And thank you to Carl W, who's become a YouTube channel member. Almost a nice little number there. So if you want to become a member, help me out, help the channel out. The link is in the description. I hope you're all feeling good, smelling good. You know how it goes. I was back in the gym for the first time today in over a month. Feels great, feels awesome. Although when I was on the weights, it was telling me, hey, fella, slow down a little, slow down. So I guess I got to ease myself back into that a bit more. Speaking of fitness issues, we're talking about Kalvin Phillips today. And I did a video a couple of weeks ago where I went quite in depth about why I wouldn't sign Kalvin Phillips. And I will just add to that today. I'm still not changed my mind. I still would not re-sign Kalvin Phillips. Now, it's being linked in the Daily Mail, and Sammy Mockbell, who is a friend of a few of my people, actually. So I've got no reason to believe that he would just put this out there for no reason. But the main article's in the Daily Mail if you want to read that, but it's full of ads, so I'm not going to put it on the screen. But the bulk of it is Leeds open to Kalvin Phillips' return next season, provided they are promoted. But 30 million valuation and wages at Man City mean they prefer to export initial loan. And what that initial loan means, is it's been reported in many other outlets, is that it would be with a loan with a view to permanent move or option to buy, which is the scariest thing I've heard in the last couple of weeks when it comes to this club. No, just no for me. And I actually said in the last video that if it was a loan, I could possibly understand. But since we've had the accounts come out and we know that we have to pay out over 70 million in transfer fees, regardless of what division we're in, if that would mean that we've got a reduced budget next season, regardless. Okay. And I would just say this, Kalvin Phillips, I said it before and I'll say it again. This is not the Kalvin Phillips, people, that you remember and love. And I loved Kalvin Phillips when he's here. Please don't get mistaken. He was so integral to this team when he played, when Marcelo Bielsa was here. He was the glue. He was dynamic at one point. That is not the Kalvin Phillips that we're talking about in 2024. And I know I've seen it already online. There's, people for, people against it, but it's nostalgia killing you with this one. If we get Kalvin Phillips back, you are not getting what you thought you're getting. Honestly, you're not getting that player that was breaking everything up, flying into tackles, but won the ball most of the time. You are getting a broken down, I gotta say, not hungry for it anymore kind of player. Now, the only thing I would say that could work in his favor is that coming home, I hate that, that's so corny, but coming home to Leeds United may reignite his love for the game, may reignite him wanting to play, have the hunger to play week in, week out. But you've seen it, people. It's not there. And his loan spell at West Ham has been a disaster, to say the least. Go ask any West Ham fan how they feel about Kalvin Phillips. They'll tell you. They'll tell you exactly how he's performed. Not even talk about the red cards, just his overall performances. He's sloppy. He was never blessed with pace, but he's slower now. Guys, it's just not good. And I say this in lieu of the accounts coming out. Even if it was, let's say worst case scenario, it's a loan, and we have to pay Man City a loan fee of, say, £3 million, which is kind of high, but let's just say we do that. And even if Man City agreed to half the wages, which would reportedly be at that point from 150,000 to 75 grand a week, you are not getting value for money with that with Kalvin Phillips. And let's take it further. Can you honestly, for anybody that wants Kalvin Phillips back, I'm asking you guys, can you guys honestly say at this point in time in 2024, you feel that Kalvin Phillips is a better player than Ethan Ampadu, or even more reliable than Ilya Gruev at this point in time? If your answer is an outright yes, then this is a bad deal to make, because we've got more pressing options in this team. We've got more pressing needs to cover than defensive midfield at this stage. But I still think we need a defensive midfield in the Prem. I do, but there's other options. Take it another step further. Probably if we're fighting down the bottom, let's just say we've made a couple of additions, but we're fighting down the bottom of the Premier League. Our rivals will probably be Everton again. Who's a better player out of these three? Banana, Decore, Kalvin Phillips. Who's a better player out of those three? If your answer isn't Kalvin Phillips, then we are strengthening the team with a player that's weaker than what our divisional rivals will already have in their squad. That is not strengthening the team. And for me, I've said it before, this isn't even against Kalvin Phillips, but there are options that I've got in my head that I've got on the list. There's options in the Premier League right now that are better than him, who would be way cheaper than Kalvin Phillips. There is just no pluses to this move except for Kalvin Phillips because he gets to come back where he's comfortable, where he enjoyed his best football. But you are not getting that Kalvin Phillips again, people. I'm sorry. You're just not. And more so as well, back to the loan to buy, or if it is an obligation to buy next summer, if we do get him on loan, he will be coming up in his 30th year and he's already broken down. He was broken down with us as well. Let's not forget how much time this guy was out injured for us. It's just that when he did play, he was a real difference maker under Bielsa. That is not who we're getting anymore. And can you, another question I would have for you, can you confidently say when we're up to the Premier League and Ampadu does move into his preferred position of defensive midfield, does he get ahead of Ethan Ampadu? I know I wouldn't put him ahead of Ethan. No chance. Ethan is quicker. He's stronger now. He's fitter, which is, got quite obvious with him not missing one game this season, except for the one where he's rested. There is just no pluses for us. Use whatever money that you think you're getting with Kalvin Phillips, put it on a goalkeeper. Use it to go towards a forward. We need that more than defensive midfielder for me. You need a real goalkeeper. We're going to talk about that in future videos. I need a real man in goal, and I need someone who is more capable up front than our current number 9. Simple. But if you take that pot of money and use it on Kalvin Phillips, well, then I would just feel like Radrizzani's in the background, because for me, this is a sentimental move to placate fans that are just, passion merchants. And yeah, he knows club. Who cares if he knows the club? Get players that can get the club to a higher level. This is not what this club has done over the past few years. And for me, this would be a huge backward step and depleting a pot that is already depleted because of future transfer fees we've got to pay. And I just want to put it to this. People think that I'm probably being harsh. Cool. This is just 6 days ago. And this kind of sums it up. David Moyes on Kalvin Phillips' absence. Kalvin Phillips kicked the back of someone's leg in training, and we think he's tweaked a bit of lower hamstring at the back of his knee. I don't think it will be long-term, but it only happened yesterday, so I'm not too sure at the moment. The guy didn't get injured being kicked. He got injured kicking somebody else. Guys, he's finished. Finito. And I love Kalvin Phillips. That will never change. But for him to come back, no. And for anyone comparing it to David Batty, there is just no comparison. David Batty was still a fine footballer when he returned to Leeds United. Kalvin Phillips, on the other hand, his stocks are all the way down. And I would ask this, why should Leeds United be the ones to try and rehabilitate Kalvin Phillips? Haven't we already done that under Victor Orta? If Victor Orta was doing this, he would be slammed for this. He would be absolutely slammed. We've already done this with reclamation projects. Oh, he wasn't too good here. Oh, he dropped off a bit here. Let's bring him to Leeds and see what he can do. That got us in a whole bunch of trouble, didn't it? So that is my thoughts on the Kalvin Phillips thing. It's a no from me, quite frankly. I do want to get your thoughts in. I know the passion merchants are going to be rampant in the chat, but it just doesn't make any sense, even on loan, in light of the accounts that came out just a couple of weeks ago. But listen, people, that is the video today. Please hit a like on the video. I will be back at some point this week. I've still got a couple more videos to do before we head into our next game against Middlesbrough, big game against Middlesbrough. But yeah, give me your thoughts below, people. Would you have Kalvin Phillips back, even on loan and even at half the wage on 75k a week? Let me know in the comments, people. Like the video. Peace out. I'll see you in the next one.